Welcome to Get Started Investing. In this podcast, we cover all the basics that you need to start your investing journey. Are you joining us for the very first time? Is this the very start of your investing journey? Well, before you dive into this episode with us, our feed is designed to go from the very beginning. So we strongly recommend that you scroll up and start at episode 1. However, if you are feeling brave and just want to dive in, then of course, don't let us stop you. Here at Get Started Investing, we unpack all of the jargon and the confusing bits. We hear your investing stories with the goal of making investing less intimidating, and we want to have a good time along the way. My name is Bryce, and for the first time in 2020, and as always, I am joined by my equity buddy, Ren. How are you going?
I'm very good, Bryce. We're back.
We are, yes.
And we've made the first mistake for the year.
What's that?
You said 2020.
Did I? Yeah. Oh my God.
Let's pack it up. Let's start again next week.
That's where my head's at the moment. No, we are back. 2022, kicking off the year at Get Started Investing. We've had a nice break over the summer period. Hope that you all enjoyed the summer series, hearing from a number of the community members, both here at Get Started Investing and from Superhero, about their investing journey and then all the mistakes that they've made. I thought that was a really fun series.
It was. But we're back for another year. We know that a lot of people have made New Year's resolutions to get their finances sorted this year. This is the year to do it, to stop making excuses. And so to kick off the year, we want to start we want to get excited about investing in 2022. We want to remind ourselves why we invest. We want to talk about some of the different options that we can invest in this year. Well, every year, but we're in this year, so yes. We'll talk about it this year. Talk about what we're excited for in 2022, and then we'll finish with the most common question we get from new investors. We're going to answer it in the first episode, so there's no excuses for the rest of the year.
Wow.
But before all of that, before we get excited to invest in 2022, how was your holidays?
Holidays was a bit of a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Started off getting COVID very early on in the piece, which led to missing Christmas.
Yes.
Which wasn't nice. You too. You were with me.
I was with you. We both got COVID at the same time. We do everything together.
Yes. Got COVID. Couldn't go home to see mum and dad and my sister for Christmas. So had Christmas in isolation. But I guess the exciting news to that was that we got COVID from celebrating my engagement.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. A worthy trade.
I'm off the market.
Damn it.
So it was exciting holidays, and then had a nice period of time just unwinding, which was good, watching the cricket.
Yeah, very exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if you're out there and you're a wedding specialist...
True. Do we try and get some... Bryce is going to sell sponsorship at his wedding. He hasn't spoken to Harriet about it yet.
No. If you can do hair and makeup, if you can do... if you're a celebrant, if you're a band, anything.
And if you can't do hair, you can do my hair.
True. Very cheap.
That doesn't really make sense. But anyway, if you've got booze,
yes.
If you're caterer,
yes.
Wedding planner. Although I saw...
Florist, big.
I saw like a couple of days after... You'd pop the question, you're on holidays, meant to be celebrating. Instagram story of you with the spreadsheets out.
Yeah, this is my time to shine.
Leopard can't change its spots, can he?
This is my time to shine. You trust me, if ever there's a time other than investing that you need a spreadsheet, it's a wedding.
Well, yeah, and you're already, you're organised.
Yeah.
You've got it all done.
That's the idea.
You'll be married before Easter.
Doesn't quite work like that, but... Yeah, I don't have it all done. Still do need all of the other little bits and pieces that go with it. So if you're out there, hit me up on Instagram. We'll chat. How was yours, Ren?
It's pretty good. Nothing that exciting. Obviously, COVID as well over Christmas. Got away to the coast. Got horizontal for a couple of weeks.
Nice.
Slowly making my way back to vertical again.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, look, we don't like too much dilly-dally at the start of our episode, so let's get stuck into it. And as you said, we're going to answer the question and remind ourselves and you why we invest. If you haven't picked up our Get Started Investing book, we certainly cover this at the start of the book. It's a really important it's really important to understand why we invest.
Yeah, book officially now a bestseller.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
Check that out. Get Started Investing, it's called.
Yeah, very creatively named. But that was exciting news for us over the holidays. So thanks everyone that supported it.
So then, Ren, let's crack in. Why do we invest? What are some of the main reasons that come to mind?
Well, I think where we should start is one of the biggest news stories of last year that I think a lot of people probably heard about, but maybe aren't super across or familiar with or really understand the implications. And the biggest reason to invest is because the biggest risk is not investing.
Yeah.
That's because of inflation.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny when people say, our view here at Equity Mates is that when people say, investing is too risky, this is our answer, that investing, the biggest risk that you can take is actually not being in the market. So for those that are really unaware of what inflation means, very briefly, the prices of goods and services go up over time, which means that $1 today is going to buy you less with $1 in 12 months' time. So if you don't put your money to work and actually put it in assets that are going to appreciate in value over time, then your money sitting in a bank is going to be worth less and less as time goes on.
Yeah.
And so that's why we say the biggest risk is not doing something about that.
You think back to like your grandparents when they go to the footy and they're like, we used to be able to get a pie and a beer for 20 cents.
Yeah.
And now it's bloody $10 at the SCG if Justin Hems has anything to do with it. That's inflation.
Exactly.
And a very extreme example of inflation. But if your grandparents back in the day had saved all their money under a mattress or in a bank account that wasn't paying any interest because they wanted to buy more pies and beers at the footy in the future, their money wouldn't have got them many these days. So you need to keep up with the rate of inflation. And the reason that we wanted to kick it off is because it's a big news story at the moment. In Australia, we had about 3% inflation last year, which is on the high side of normal, really. Like that's sort of what the government, what the Reserve Bank are aiming for every year, about 2 to 3%.
And that practically means that we expect broadly prices of goods and services to go up 3% each year.
Yeah. But in the US, inflation came in around 7% last year. Huge. So the prices of everyday goods and services went up 7%. So you could buy 7% less if you didn't get a pay rise. Yeah.
So, okay, I understand the concept of inflation and that keeping it in the bank is not a great way for me to fight against that. But how does investing change that?
Well, investing is putting your money to work, really. It puts on a suit and tie, goes out and makes more money for its efforts. And, it's not just the stock market. Obviously, we'll talk about the different choices, but it's putting your money into something that will beat the rate of inflation. So if the costs of goods and services in Australia last year went up 3%, hopefully you made more than 3%. From your savings.
Yeah, so again, in practical terms, the cost of goods and services goes up 3%, but I have a fair chunk of my money in the stock market and it went up 5%, then I've actually mitigated that risk of inflation because my money is worth more than it would have been if it was sitting in a bank doing nothing.
Yeah. You can buy the same amount of stuff. Well, you've actually beaten inflation, so you can buy a little bit more stuff with that money. Yeah. So that's number one. Conceptually, that's why investing is important. But there's also other reasons why we invest. And I think, it comes down to choice and freedom and lifestyle and stuff like that. So as well as the mathematical reason of inflation, why else do you invest?
Wow, we've spoken about this a lot, and I think we touched on it in our summer series as well. But and we both share a similar view on this, and that is to generate enough wealth and I guess cash flow later on in life that we can make the choices that we want to make when it comes to working for who we want, not working as much as we want, being able to take on projects and enjoy life in a way that is on our terms rather than having to live from paycheck to paycheck and rely on that as the only source of income. Yeah,
you're right. We've spoken about this a fair bit. People who have been listening to Get Started Investing for a while, probably sick of it. But it is the most exciting reason to invest. It gives you choice. It means you're not chained to your desk. It means you can tell a bad boss to get stuffed. It means you can travel if you want to travel later in life. It means you can take more parental leave if you're starting a family. It means you can take a lower paying job because it's more interesting to you. That freedom, that choice comes from investing when you're young. Well, investing at any stage, but especially when you're young. Just give, like, money may not buy happiness, but money can buy choice.
Yes.
And having choice might lead to happiness. So, yeah, I think Kanye West had some line about, like, if you're rich, money isn't the only thing, but if you're poor, it's
everything.
It's everything. Yeah. And I think, being able to have some money outside of your paycheck that gives you that choice and gives you that freedom, it's really exciting. But it, just for me, it's why would you not? Like, when we're young and we have this opportunity to set ourselves up. And so if you made the New Year's resolution, if you've seen one of our ads and you've jumped across, like, this is why, and this is what 2022 should be. Yeah. Set yourself up.
I think a closing point for me as to why I why I invest, and I'm sure you are the same, but we've been doing this pretty seriously now for 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years, whatever. And the enjoyment that we both get from finding new and amazing innovative companies that are changing the world. And before we jumped on here, we were talking about some of the amazing stuff that's coming from biotech at the moment. And I think that investing really opens your mind to what's going on in the world and takes you down rabbit holes that you would otherwise never really think about going down. And, you're reading and exploring different topics and industries. And I think that's really important because you might not think it means a lot, but when you're applying for jobs or thinking about what you want to do as a career and all those things, it really makes a big difference to be aware of all of this stuff that's going on. And investing really pushes you to do that.
Yeah. So hopefully people are excited about investing. I'm pumped about investing. It was really tough to get back into the office this year, but you've got me excited again, Bryce. I remember why we do this.
Good.
Dragging me off a beach. But then I guess then the obvious question, I think a lot of people will probably have heard this before from, relatives or whatever, like, you should be investing, but it becomes very difficult to then actually know how to do it. And for so many people, it's not for me, it's too hard, I don't have enough money to get started, I don't have enough knowledge to get started. And there's a few options that you can invest in. So let's talk about those.
Okay.
I think for a lot of people, they're like, yeah, I should invest. I want to buy a house. The house prices are stupidly insane.
Oh, man.
Put it on the back burner for next year.
Yeah. And then get burnt in the next 12 months as house prices go up another 25%.
Yeah. But and I think, we grew up in Australia. We've lived that we've had that view. Like, everyone who... I think
there's nothing wrong with it at all.
I think more and more, like, I was about to say it's a very Australian phenomenon, but, like, New Zealand has crazy house prices at the moment. America has crazy house prices at the moment. So I think it's a global phenomenon these days.
Absolutely.
But the good news is there are other options. And the stock market for us has been this revelation because of how accessible it's become.
There's no doubt that when you think about the price, the costs of investing in property, you've got to save that deposit to begin with that can take years and years depending on where you want to buy. There is the cost of stamp duty, which is in the tens of thousands. There's the cost of legal fees. Then there's the cost of perhaps cleaning the house or whatever it may be. There's huge costs involved in buying property. The best thing about the stock market for us is that you can literally now start with a matter of cents and get started building wealth in the stock market.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's epic.
Yeah. Now, that's not the only market that's available these days.
Crypto.
Yeah, crypto. Where's your head at about crypto to start 2022?
I'm actually I've got a bit of a drip feed strategy, dollar cost average strategy going at the moment with it, and I'm just going to leave it at that. What I do want to do is stay away from the coins. I am really tempted to try and buy some NFTs at some point. More meaningful though, I really want to try and understand what's going on in, well, I say meaningful, it could all mean nothing, but what's going on in, like, the property and land side of crypto. But look, for me, this year's actually going to be a bit different. A lot of my cash is going to be going towards this wedding. So I'm not going to have the propensity to invest that I did before.
We didn't talk about this is a reason to invest, but another reason to invest is so you can throw a Bryce Lesky level extravagant 1,000 head wedding.
1,000 head? I don't know 1,000 people. But
it's all right. Your fiancé is a lot more popular than you are.
True. But yeah, so crypto in terms of investing priority for me this year is very low.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't actually see it as an investment either.
Yeah, well, for people who just are thinking, what the hell is Bryce talking about? NFTs, land in the metaverse, all that stuff. Don't worry. This year, I'm going to be the voice of reason on the podcast.
Nice.
Yeah. But look, crypto is an option. And a lot of the stuff we say about the stock market, how you can access it very easily with technology, how you don't need a lot of money to get started. You can just get started with a few cents. That all applies to crypto markets. But I think one thing that we should remind everyone, we should constantly remind ourselves, I try and constantly remind you that you never listen.
You're in crypto, come on.
Is this idea of, are you investing or are you speculating? And one of the best investing books I've ever read is by Seth Klarman, and it's a question that he writes in that. And basically with crypto or even with property, what you buy is the same as what you sell. You know, you buy a block of land with a house on it. You can maybe renovate the house. You can maybe subdivide the land, but the land you buy is the land you sell. Similarly with crypto, you buy 1 Bitcoin, you sell 1 Bitcoin. But what you hope is that someone else is out there who's willing to pay more for that cryptocurrency or that piece of land. And for Seth Klarman, he says that's speculating because you buy it with the idea that someone's going to pay more for it in the future, more for the same thing in the future. But he says that investing is when you buy something and it makes you money and it can change over time. And that's what buying a stock is, you know. It's this thing, you buy a share, you own part of a company, and then that company employs people to get bigger and make more things and make more money and expand into new markets and to hire more people. And the thing you buy can be very different to what you sell. And the classic example we always talk about is Amazon. In 1997, it was available for people to buy. It became publicly listed. And it was an online bookseller doing a few million in revenue, a few million in sales a year. And it was just selling books online. Fast forward, 25 years now? Yeah. And it's a $2 trillion company, $1.5 trillion company that has a streaming service, a web hosting business, a online retail business that sells everything. The company that you bought in 1997 is very different to the company that you own and can sell in 2022. And for me, that's the really exciting thing about the stock market. You can basically buy ownership stakes in companies run by some of the smartest people around the world, working on some of the biggest challenges. And, you know, you can have Tim Cook at Apple and Elon Musk at Tesla and, Jeff Bezos up until recently at Amazon working for you. And for me, that's really exciting about the stock market. Yeah. And that's why I'm going to be the voice of reason and say, what are you talking about with metaverse, land, and NFTs?
Sure, but you should be clear that you also do own crypto. So voice of reason.
I don't have to be clear about that. Yeah, I also own crypto. Yeah. But I think, that's the opportunity in the stock market. It's never been more accessible. You can start with a couple of cents, and what you're buying is just so exciting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out in that space, because you could definitely see that there's opportunity to buy things in metaverse world that replicate that, but it's I have no idea when that's going to come.
Yeah. Look, you can. I think for the purposes of this podcast episode, you can live a long and happy life. You can make a lot of money investing, and you never need to understand what Bryce is talking about with metaverse land.
This is true.
Yeah.
Well, to close that out, Ren, you did say, ownership of companies and that sort of stuff. And one of the things that we often talk about here at Equity Mates is the fact that, investing in the stock market gives you the ability to own these companies rather than work for the company, And if you think about the richest guys in the world, you mentioned them all there, Buffett, Bezos, Musk, they have all built significant wealth by being equity owners in these businesses. And when we say we're talking about investing to create long-term wealth, it's by owning meaningful stakes in businesses that create value, incredible value over a long period of time. So yeah, it is time. 2022 is the year to stop working for the company, start owning the company.
Nice.
Well,
put that on a billboard.
Yeah, not bad. So Ren, before we touch on brokers, just briefly, what are some of the things that you're really pumped up about when it comes to investing in 2022?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that I'm personally excited to learn more about. Like there's different, you mentioned earlier how investing is this great way that you can like go down these rabbit holes and learn about all these interesting things and then make money from that. You can monetize your interest in random topics through the stock market.
Interest,
yeah. And so that's really interesting. I was like, over the break, I was listening to a couple of podcasts on the agricultural industry and some of the stuff going on there with the Internet of Things, precision agriculture is really exciting. Biotech is something that I'll never fully understand. Like, you have to be an expert to really get it. But just reading some of the stuff that's going on with like gene editing and, there's all these startups looking to like reverse the aging process or slow down the aging process. And, that's something that for years, like billionaires have pumped money into. But there's some really interesting stuff happening there. So, there's a lot of investing areas that I'm interested in learning more about. But I think the thing that I'm most excited for is that we have this opportunity in Australia right now to really just make this generation the most financially literate. There's us, there's a number of other podcasters, there's a whole bunch of books being written, there's so much resources available online. And I think, we're starting to see more and more people get interested in the stock market, get excited about investing, really understand their money. Hopefully one day it'll be taught in school and will be useless, and
hopefully we'll teach it.
Will be surplus to requirement. But until then, it's maybe we're getting older and people are just thinking about money more, but it feels like it's going to be a good year for Australian financial literacy.
Yeah, I was thinking about that on the way to work this morning, actually, because, we're in a lot of Facebook groups. You mentioned all of those sort of other financial media businesses. So in a lot of those Facebook groups, and more people are consistently saying that they want to learn more about investing. It's not so much now about budget and cash flow and getting out of debt, but it's really now turning towards that. I want to start building wealth, particularly in the stock market. There's definitely a shift in the amount of people I'm seeing asking that sort of stuff. So I would agree.
Yeah. And I think, the opportunity is truly global now. So, we know that people outside of Australia listen to this, and the principles apply everywhere in every country on earth. Like the online brokers might have different names, but they're all basically the same, and they all offer us access to the same markets more and more. This is truly like a global thing, and I think that the shift of finance and investing from very localized to global will hopefully bring more people along for the ride.
Nice one.
What about you?
Similarly, I'm really excited about what we're going to do at Equity Mates this year. but I guess it's just a watch this space. And that's also an opportunity to just shout out that if you have just joined us on Get Started Investing, we actually have 7 shows in the network. So head to equitymates.com to have a look at all the shows that we offer. They're all finance and investing related, and there'll definitely be something else there that will help you on your investing journey. But I think, thematics that I'm really excited about, and they're going to continue from last year, and there's a lot of stuff going on, as you said, in biotech, but a lot in the climate space as well. ESG, there's some really fascinating companies coming out of that, and a great opportunity to get in early on some of those. And I've always had a bit of an interest in gaming as well. That space. Did sign up to Roblox over the summer, and the Sandbox. Which is the sort of an equivalent to Roblox, big open source sort of multiplayer universe game. But we'll chat about that at another point.
Did you actually play them?
No, I signed up, started to get in, then I just thought to myself, this is just going to take a lot of my time away from something else that I'm going to be doing.
Bro, you could play for like an hour. You don't have to...
No, I was on holidays. I was like, I just don't want to focus on this right now. So I think I committed at the end of last year on one of the podcasts that I would sign up, which I did do. But what it did do...
Bare minimum price.
What it did do is lead me down a big rabbit hole of NFTs. Because the first thing you go on there straight away, bang, marketplace. You can buy all this stuff, and then it takes you through to OpenSea, and I just got down this massive rabbit hole. Ended up seeing how much land Snoop Dogg's bought in the metaverse. It's crazy. He's bought huge amounts of land. And anyway. So yeah, if you're interested in crypto, we've got a podcast called Crypto Curious. They're probably going to do a better job at than I am.
And over on our main Equity Mates feed, I'm sure Bryce will continue talking about crypto all year.
Anyway.
But yeah,
let's move on.
The climate point's a good one. There's definitely some really exciting stuff happening there. So it'll be a really interesting space to watch. But it also is more and more looking like a sort of once in a generation investment opportunity as we transform our transport infrastructure and our energy grid and everything. Yeah.
One other thing I think is, I don't know if I'm excited about it, but I'm really interested to see what happens. It feels like we're going into a bit of a period here we spoke at the start of the show, big inflation changes, and we haven't had that for quite a while, and we haven't had a lot of the reserve banks around the world, central banks talking about lifting interest rates as aggressively as they say they are. So I'm interested to see how it all plays out.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm excited about it, but
we're trying to get people excited about investing here. All right, so we said we're going to close this episode by answering the number one question we get here at Equity Mates, the question that so many people get stumped by and then never start investing. We're going to take this out of the too hard basket, answer it now, so there's no more excuses. Bryce Lesky, what broker should I sign up with? And for people who are really new to investing, quick 101 on what's a broker as well.
A broker is essentially the middleman between you and the stock market. It's where you go to place a trade or to place an investment, to buy or sell, and they'll find someone on the other side of that trade to sell that investment to you.
Yeah.
Online platforms are the way of the future at the moment. It used to be you would do it in person with someone over the phone, but now there are apps and plenty of online platforms. Some of the most common here in Australia, you've got Superhero, Stake, IG, CommSec, NAB. There's plenty.
Yeah.
All of the major banks will have one. But to answer the question, which one should I choose? Ren, as we have spoken about on the show before, it doesn't make a difference. It doesn't matter. Don't get caught up on finding the perfect broker for you to start. Just get started. You can easily transfer your stocks from one broker to another. Ren and I have used more than 5 brokers over our journey.
Yeah, I've got 4 and I'm about to open a 5th.
There you go. So Ren's got 5 on the boil. I've had multiple over the years. They're always changing. That's the thing. You'll sign up to one today and another one will come out and bring something that is appealing to you, some sort of feature, a lower brokerage that is appealing to you. So that just goes to show that there's never going to be a one-stop shop broker that's going to tick all the boxes in one go. Don't worry about it. They're all the same.
There's today, in Australia, there's over 30 that you could choose from. In America, there's probably, who knows, probably close to 100 that you could choose from. Even if you picked the very worst of the 30 in Australia, like the most expensive, the most clunky user interface, the worst customer support, all their data's wrong. Like, even if you pick the very worst,
Data's wrong.
the benefit of getting started investing will outweigh all of that.
Yeah.
So we say don't let perfection be the enemy of the good when it comes to choosing brokerage here. It doesn't matter. And like, you know, we love what a lot of the brokers are doing. We get along with them. We work with them. We think they're doing great things for the retail investor. But at the end of the day, getting started investing is more important. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Choose any of them, get started. You can always switch later.
Yeah.
The one thing to look at, probably a good starting point, is, are they based in Australia? Like, are they regulated by the Australian government? More with crypto exchanges, you find dodgy ones based in like Eastern Europe and stuff like that. But really, you know, they're becoming more and more a commodity product brokerage. Really, they all give you access to the same thing. So it's great for us. We got a lot of choice, but that choice can be overwhelming. Don't let it overwhelm you.
Yeah. So for more info on what you can look for and some questions you can ask when finding one, check out our book, Get Started Investing. Plenty in there. There's actually a deep dive on brokers that I forced Ren in to let me write.
Yeah.
And
different. If you notice the different coloured pages, that's Bryce's brokerage
everything
section.
you need to know about brokers.
We also did a 3-part series on this podcast feed on brokers, so you can scroll back and listen to that.
Broker basics.
Or if you jump into our Facebook discussion group, the questions asked every couple of days.
Search the questions. Don't ask the questions. But yeah, don't let it stop you from starting your investing journey. Plenty of options out there. We hate fees here at Equity Mates, so that would be where we would start when it comes to finding a broker.
Yeah.
Well, Ren, great to kick off 2022. I'm excited. You sound excited. I hope that you and the audience, the Get Started Investing community, are excited to continue your investing journey, or congratulations on starting and taking that step for 2022. It's time to stop working for the company, start owning that company. Yeah. So we'll be here every week for the next year.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Next decade.
And next decade. And Ren, as always, it's been great, and we'll pick it up next week.
Sounds good.